Hey guys! So I'm just going to do a short little aside today because there's a very exciting project that I'm starting that is about to begin in 20 minutes time. And I just want to tell you guys a bit about it because I'll be talking a bit more about it as the process continues. But I'm really, really excited. This is a game, a set of games that I'm setting up called #Feminist. So this is a book. I have the PDF and I've printed some pages. And it's a series of feminist nano games. So these are role-playing games that have been designed by many women from around the world. I think there's 11 different countries and lots of player orientations. And it's 34 games that are meant to be played in about an hour. And they all deal around some kind of feminist issue. So I heard about this book about a year ago and I was really excited about it. And unfortunately I missed buying it at the time I saw it. So I've been keeping an eye out, and I finally found it online on DriveThruRPG, which of course they had a copy. And since then, I've been trying to get a group together to try to go through these. And my goal would be that we play all 34 of those games and talk about what it is. So it becomes a little bit of a book club and also a little bit of a game group. So it's a pretty short scenario. The idea is we'll meet once a week on Saturdays at 8 o'clock and we'll play through one of these scenarios, about an hour for play and about an hour for discussion after. And I'm really excited to see what comes of it because a lot of these issues are things I know that women have faced, and it'll be really great to get an opportunity to talk to them about it and see how different people react to different things. So this book comes with a really, really great how to play section that I'll be using tonight to introduce all the players to it. So the way the book is organized is in order of emotional intensity. So the game starts out with things that are more easygoing, easier things to discuss. Not to say that any of them are necessarily easy, but it builds on that to more complex, more diverse issues that are going to be a lot more affecting, maybe. Of course, you never know in a role-playing game just how affecting something's going to be, so it's always a bit of a mixed bag. So one thing I really like about the way that they break this down is when you're selecting a game, they say, not all games are for all people. Some people adore silly role-playing, others want a deep emotional experience. There's no wrong way to play, and there's plenty of variety in the collection. In addition to simple preference, people might have personal reasons why they may not want to play a game of a particular theme, and they may not want to explain it to the group. So this is an underlying belief of why I organized the game in the way it did. So basically, I've put this call out to pretty much all the women in my social group. And hopefully some people online will be joining us as well. And I've broken down the games in order of their emotional intensity, the keywords that are given with it, how long it takes to play, how many players we need, and whether or not we can play that game online. So this game tonight we can actually play online, which is really exciting because I'm going to have a couple people playing from different parts of the world. So that'll be really exciting. And each person chooses the games they want to be part of. So every week it'll be a different group of people who will want to talk about a different issue. And that means everyone gets to opt in rather than being expected and opting out. So I think that's a really important part of how it's been organized. Another little caveat I like that they have is be excellent to each other and remember players are more important than the game. And that just connects back to a culture of care and that, exactly that. We believe that the game is more important than the players. There's lots of safety tools throughout this because this is something that's a little bit more emotional, and I can talk more about safety tools that I use in my groups. In this one, they're asking to use the word cut or stop. So basically, if something emotionally or physically makes somebody uncomfortable, you just say cut, stop. Another really common one is the X card. Make an X with your hand, type the letter X, and that's a sign that you want to stop, take a step away. The person who does that is under no obligation to say why they felt the way they did or what specifically set them off, but if they can give some level of information, it does help other players to try to walk around that area a bit more. Especially in this group, because we're going to have a rotating cast, it's really important that we know what people's lines are, so we're also having a conversation before we start the game about any lines that people have and try to be respectful of those, knowing that some of them are going to come up. A really common thing that people will say is that they don't really want sexual violence, and some of these games involve discussions of that. So we're trying to be really upfront with people that this is something that will be in only certain games. So for anyone who hasn't role-played, another really great little thing about it is the book talks about in role-playing, there's no audience, not like a TV show or a theater. The measure of a good scenario is whether you had a good or thought-provoking experience. And I think that's what this is going to be, is it may not always be a good experience, but I want it to be a thought-provoking and supported conversation. So that's really exciting. So as far as going with the game goes, is playing a scenario is like any other feminist cultural experience. It can be funny, it can be silly, it can be deep, it can be sad, it can make you cry, it can make you reactive, and all those things are totally fine. The only thing that the game caveats is that you still need to take the game seriously, obviously. We're not going to be making jokes about a lot of these issues. We're going to try to give them the respect that they deserve. And as I said, when we finish, we will debrief. So I'm just going to give you a really brief of a first game that we are playing tonight called First Date. First Date is a really fun scenario. So it's for 2 to 5 players. It takes about 30 minutes. And the game is about the orgasm gap. So the difference between how many times a woman orgasms in a relationship and how many times a man does. So the stats that they use in this is with the familiar partner, which is a higher number. Women orgasm 63% of the time and men 85% of the time. For lesbian sex, women have significantly more orgasms, but men's rates stay the same. And it talks about in college student committed relationships, there's a 17% orgasm gap. So a lot of difference there in how people are enjoying sex. So that's the basis, is saying here's the information about the inequality in enjoying sex. And the setup is that you're on a first date with someone. One person is the ranter, one person is the listener, and the ranter is telling you why the orgasm gap doesn't matter, why it's normal, why it's natural, and all the listener does is sit and wait until they just have had enough. And they can either say stop, they can either get up and leave. The idea is that the listener will leave the table only when they feel that the ranter has either crossed a line or become too stupid to continue listening to. So that's like a really interesting scenario. Once that person leaves the table, so you've got the ranter and the listener is left, the person who was the ranter becomes the listener and someone else steps into that role. And you continue until everyone has had the experience of being a ranter and a listener. And then that's the conversation that you had. So it's a pretty short experience, but the goal is to have a really interesting conversation about it. So I'm really excited. I've got 2 players joining me tonight for this scenario, and I can't wait to tell you guys more about how it goes. If you want any more information about it, I'm happy to share, and can't wait to check in and let you know how it goes. Thanks. Bye.